So welcome everybody to another amazing webinar from Spark Niagara. My name is Daniel Bordenave. I'm the CEO of Spark Niagara, and I'm joined with two amazing guests today that we're going to be talking really about health in its overall aspect, both the healthy body, but more importantly, perhaps the healthy mind. So we have two amazing guests today who have a lot of experience working with both the mind and the body, and working with a lot of different cases of a lot of individuals. So I want to introduce first Karen from Mental Health Solutions. Karen.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Karen, as Dan mentioned, and I'm a registered nurse, and I specialize in mental health. I have more than 30 years professional mental health experience, and I currently operate Mental Health Solutions, whereby I offer education to individuals and organizations, and also support organizations to develop their psychological health and safety plans. And I just want to add that my mental health perspective has not only been informed by my professional experience, but my personal experience. In 1996, my daughter Jasmine was murdered. She was shot in the head in my home in front of my then 8-year-old son, Jordan. And this had a very traumatic and devastating impact on my life that led to some serious mental health issues, including experiencing persistent thoughts of suicide. I've been very fortunate and blessed to have been able to move beyond that and in a place where I'm able to, again, support others who are experiencing mental health issues.
No, that's a very amazing and touching story, and like such a great person that you are to be able to make the best out of it and really to help other people. So like I said, I've gotten the experience to know you for quite a while, and I know that you're an amazing person. So I'm really happy to have this conversation with you. So thank you for sharing that, Karen. Next, we have Hector. So Hector, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I really enjoy this stuff. So basically, I run the gym at Spark Niagara. And my history background is I've been in gyms all my life. I started with karate at 12, went into kickboxing at 16, then went into boxing, eventually turning professional. And now I'm one of the legends in the Niagara region. So I have a lot of experience behind me. I really enjoy doing this stuff. So hopefully I could help somebody. And if somebody has questions or something, we'll work with. So I'm more on the physical part of it. So.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So like I said, we have a lot of deep experience in today's webinar. So the way we're going to do this is we're just going to ask a couple of questions directed at one of the individuals, but then however, if the other individual wants to chime in, there's opportunity for it as well. So the first round of questions is really just understanding the body. And for Karen, the first question for you is that perhaps many people don't know what classifies mental health. Like, what is mental health? How common is it? And perhaps how do we notice some of the effects of a mental health issue?
So great question. Mental health is essentially how we think, feel, and act in the world. And we all have mental health, and mental illnesses are complex diagnosable conditions that affect and significantly affect the way we think. And so this may mean an alteration in the way we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive others, the way we perceive the world around us. It can also cause cognitive effects. So it may impair our memory, our ability to focus, our ability to attend, our ability to problem solve or critical think. In addition to thinking, mental illnesses affect the way we feel. And this can range from profound sadness to numbness, to anger, to extreme vacillations in feeling, to being overwhelmed, or to being unable to cope with life's daily stressors. And lastly, it affects the way we act. So this can mean anything from not being able to get out of bed, not being able to perform in our regular activities of daily living, to engaging in risky behaviors like gambling, sexual promiscuity. So it's a broad range of changes in our behavior. these changes to thinking, feeling, and behavior are associated with extreme distress and an impairment in our ability to function. And I just want to add that in addition to changes in thinking, feeling, and behavior, there are many physical symptoms associated with mental illness. This can include pain, fatigue, heart palpitations, tightness in the chest, difficulty breathing, gut issues, a whole host of physical symptoms associated with mental health issues. The population, or our population in Canada, is about 38 million, and a quarter of us, or 9.5 million Canadians, are living with a mental health disorder. Either you or someone you know has a mental illness. We are all vulnerable. Anything that affects our brain health can affect our mental health. This can be our genetics, our family history, environmental exposures, head injuries like concussions, physical health issues like strokes, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune disorders, any physical or emotional trauma, living with uncertainty as we are in this day and age, and conflict in our relationships. So all of these things affect our brain health and increase our risk for developing mental health issues.
Wow, so it's quite a wide spectrum of what classifies mental health, and I mean it seems that even just having some anxiety can really wreak havoc if you don't seek to work with it and seek to try to like I said, seek help with it too. So that's fantastic that you were able to summarize. It's a lot of information. Now, Hector, the second question. Now we're going to jump over to the physical side and understanding the physical body. So when people think of physical health, they think of, losing weight or staying skinny. I mean, we're constantly bombarded by the media with the ideal image of what a male and a female should look like. I just want you to explain perhaps how, in your perception, this is not true, and some examples of what being physically healthy means with regards to the body.
Sure. So to start off, physical health is basically regular exercise, your diet or nutrition intake, and proper rest. Those are the biggest thing. Now, just because a person looks good, that doesn't really mean that they're physically fit. There's a lot of internal stuff that you got to go through to become physically, to know that you're fit. So let me break it down a little bit. So exercise, you want to try to exercise at least 3 times a week if you can. Put some time in and do roughly, I wouldn't do more than an hour unless you really feel like it, but if you could do a little bit of strength training, a little bit of cardio workout, that'd be very good for you. Your diet, I don't like calling it diet because that's an ugly word. It's more of your nutritional intake, is what you take in. And really, most people say, well, I want to diet to lose weight. Really, if you eat healthy and you work out, you'll lose weight. There's just no two ways about it. The formula is calories in versus calories out, right? So if your calories in are so much and you work out and you eat healthy, you'll lose the weight. The last thing is proper rest. Everybody needs rest. The body, the muscles need rest. People sometimes go, and they're not rested. So what you want to try to do is, if you're going to work out 3 times a week, you want to try to rest in between. So for example, if you work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday should be your rest day, where, you just go for a light walk and, easy does it. When you work out, yeah, put your time in, work out hard if you can. Again, everybody's at different levels, but like I said before, one of the biggest things is people think, well, he looks fit. That doesn't really mean that it's fit. I would personally start slow with your training, get into it. Once you get into it, you'll feel good about it. You'll feel happy, and you'll get more into things. So that's the 3 main things: is regular exercise, nutritional intake, and proper rest.
Perfect. And I guess a follow-on question to Karen, that we're diving into this now. I've I'd taken a lot of interest in looking into mental health and different ways. I used to work in a community healthcare center, and I had to deal with a lot of patients who perhaps had some mental health issues, have family who have had mental health issues as well. And the new research that's coming out, a lot of it is pointing to proper diet and rest in order as factors that can lead to increase in symptoms, perhaps, or yeah, anything like that. Do you want to touch up on that now that we're speaking of diet and
Sure.
rest?
So, in terms of nutrition, as Hector mentioned, is so important for our physical health, but it's also extremely important for our mental health because the food we take in fuels our brain. It provides the nutrients our brain needs to function properly. And as for sleep, when we're sleeping, that allows, or resting, gives our brain the opportunity to repair itself. It's while we sleep that a particular system called our glymphatic system actually acts to remove toxins from our brain and repair neurons that have been damaged by the stressors that we've experienced throughout the day. So if we're not getting a quality sleep, at least 7 to 8 hours a night, and on a regular, then we're at risk of mental health.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think sleep is just something that that everybody. I mean, we're in society. We're just told to always go, go, go. Try to make the most of our time. Try to be as efficient as we possibly can in our time. But it seems that if in both the physical and the mental health aspects, that sleep is very, very important to being efficient and effective. Can you both just touch up on how important sleep is, Hector? Perhaps first for what it does to the physical body, and then Karen, you've already touched up on what it does to the mental or cognitive body, but can you just touch up on how important sleep is as part of this daily regimen?
Okay, so I'll start off, I guess. Again, rest. Your body needs rest. Your brain needs rest. Your muscles need rest. It's like anything. If you decide to go cycling one day and you go the next day, you're going to feel very tired and sore. So your muscles need to replenish, and they need to basically, like I said, rest is everything. When you're rested, you work harder the next time. You work better the next time. You feel better. You're in a happier mood because you're not sore. So rest is very important as far as physical fitness goes along.
Perfect. And then Karen, we talked about the systems in your body, but perhaps can you let us know what was recommended as ideal sleep? Because I know some people have a difficult time sleeping the entire 8 hours, but does that mean that perhaps we should be compensating now with some naps throughout the day or some more downtime in order to account for those missed hours?
Well, actually, naps can be helpful. They should happen early afternoon and not getting too late into the evening, because then that in and of itself can disrupt your sleep. But ideally, what you're going to try to aim for is getting that 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep per night, which means, as best as possible, having a routine of going to bed and getting up at the same time every day. Creating a sleep environment that's conducive to sleep. So blackout curtains, a comfortable bed, clean sheets, whatever it is, maybe some white noise, a cooler environment. It's really important that when we go to sleep at night, our room temperature is around 68 degrees. So there's lots of things that we can do to induce sleep. And the only thing I would add is that if you're not getting enough rest, if you're not getting quality sleep, what happens is that the toxins in your brain build up. Free radicals start to produce, and this in turn starts to break down your brain systems. It impairs the structure, function, and chemistry of your brain. And this in turn can lead to serious mental health issues. So it's really important to get that 7, 8 hours quality of sleep. If you cannot, try to look at ways to create a better sleep environment and take naps if necessary.
Perfect. And then just one more follow-up question, because I know based on some of the research I've done. Now, is there ever too much sleep? And if there is that perhaps a symptom of or sign of something greater? Like if you find you're spending too much time sleeping or just feeling tired all the time, is that something that should be further looked into?
Well, some people actually require longer than 7 or 8 hours of sleep, particularly teenagers, and other people. So it's really about knowing your body. Ideally, you're going to recognize that by whether or not you feel rested, whether or not you wake up in the morning and feel like you have the energy to proceed with your day. Those are the cues. Those are what's going to sort of cue you as to whether or not you're getting enough sleep.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So, I mean, that was a lot of information. We kind of went off a little tangent about sleep, but that's good because people often put sleep on the side burner and say, okay, maybe I'll sleep when I'm dead or things like that, but they don't realize how important sleep is to living an overall healthy lifestyle.
Can I add one thing, Dan?
Absolutely.
I would suggest that sleep is probably the number one thing that I would recommend in terms of improving your mental health.
Wow, that's good. So, I mean, I love sleeping, so that's good that you told me that. Awesome. Okay, now we're gonna switch gears a bit. So we talked a little about the body, some of the habits. Now, I really want to get into some of the stigmas that are out there. So Karen, the first question is regarding you and the mental health stigma. So it seems that like having a mental health issue is considered a bad thing. Perhaps you're seen as a weaker person. We're starting to see more celebrities come out, admitting that they have mental health. Perhaps some athletes, some political figures, but some high-profile individuals. Can you shed light on the prevalence of the mental health and how it is a normal thing, and the movement that's going around to essentially remove the stigma?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important to understand the stigmatization of those living with mental illness in a historical context. 1,000 years ago, people with mental health issues were imprisoned, tortured, or killed. And during the Middle Ages, mental illness was viewed as a punishment from God. People were seen as being possessed and were either killed at the stake or again imprisoned and chained to walls or beds. Stigmatization of the mentally ill reached a peak actually during the Nazi occupation of Germany, whereby hundreds of thousands of people with mental illness were killed. In fact, it was people with mental illness that the Nazis used to perfect their killing methods prior to the genocide of the Jews. So in understanding this, we can see how false beliefs and stereotypes remain prevalent even today. The most prominent of these include that a person with mental illness may be violent, may be unpredictable, or maybe, as you mentioned, lazy. So I just want to talk about, first of all, these false biases are based in ignorance and are often perpetuated by media coverage. But let's look at laziness, for example. Laziness is often a misinterpreted symptom that may include things like fatigue, low energy, an inability to motivate oneself, anhedonia, which is the inability to feel pleasure from anything, experiencing profound sadness or numbness, or having cognitive issues such as the inability to plan or organize or problem solve or think critically. All of these symptoms can be misinterpreted as laziness, when in fact it's actually other things that are affecting the individual's ability to function in their daily lives. So that's really important to understand. Fortunately, though, like our understanding of mental illness has evolved to realizing that it's not just a psychological disorder, it's a biological disorder. Mental illness actually affects the structure, function, and chemistry of our brain. And so in recognizing this, gradually health practitioners began dispelling some of the myths associated with mental illness. And in the 1980s, it was people with lived experiences, people who had actually experienced mental illness and the treatment of mental illness, who were the drivers, who became the main drivers of the movement to reduce stigma and discriminatory views in our society. and remains so today. And I think, as you mentioned, it's been really helpful that influencers or celebrities like Prince Harry, Clara Hughes, Demi Lovato, Jim Carrey, Lady Gaga, Elon Musk, all of these people have identified as struggling with mental illness and have been bringing awareness to mental health issues. And as we know, these people are not lazy. These people are diligent, resilient, successful people. And I just want to add that one of the most successful ways to reduce stigma is through learning from and getting to know people who are living with mental health issues.
Absolutely. I completely agree 100%. Thank you for sharing that. And it really is that this, as we move forward in life, we have to remove the stigma, because mental health is just having issues, the same thing as having issues with physical health. We don't stigmatize those people. We don't stigmatize people that have had a heart attack, right, as being lazy or as being unhealthy or whatever the case may be, right? So it's time to remove the stigma from the mental health as well. I think that there's a great movement in regards to that. Now, Hector, I'm going to switch over to you, and I'm going to mention two words: upside down triangle and hourglass. Now, those are traditionally terms used to describe the ideal body shape for a male, which is the upside down triangle, and the hourglass, which was the traditional way of describing the ideal female body. Can you speak on how that's not the truth? And perhaps we talked about how physique isn't a way to measure health, but what else in the body can we use to know that we are healthy? What markers are there to know that we are healthy?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, in the past days, that used to be the thing, the upside down triangle, and that. But really, we don't really know what's going on inside your body, right? And I'm sure Karen would say the same thing with the brain, right? Nobody really knows. So you see some people are just natural. They got just a great body naturally. They don't work out, but their bodies is amazing. You know, the way they're fit, they look fit. But again, we as personal trainers and doctors now, we use different things to see really what, for example, the overall weight with their height. We check the body mass index, which in a short form is seeing how much fat you have inside your body, what physical activity you do, your waist measurement. All these things will tell you different things about your body. But the biggest thing I think is, and I would recommend this, is to do an yearly physical test with the doctor. With that, you're going to get all the stuff in your blood system. You're going to be screening for cancers, a whole bunch of stuff. And that's very important because that's what's inside the body. That's what the healthy thing is how healthy am I inside? Not what you see on the outside, it's what do I see on the inside? So one thing I would recommend that I do it myself is every time I go for my physical and I get all my blood tests and everything, get your doctor to explain it, because I'm not pushing away from doctors. Doctors know it, but sometimes they say, well, like you have a range. Say you go for cholesterol. There's a range between a 1 and a 5. They look at it, you're good. I want to know for myself, it's okay, how am I good? Am I good at a 2 or am I good at a 4.5, which is getting close to, say, having high cholesterol? So your doctor will explain it to you. Don't be shy to ask questions. And the last thing I do is I make a photocopy of all that and I save it. So the following year, when I get the results again for the new year, I compare it to see, I'm gaining this way, I'm gaining that way. So, but again, the biggest thing is what's inside your body doesn't mean is what you see outside the body, right? So there's a lot of people that are very physical fit and they don't, I wouldn't say they wouldn't look fit. It just doesn't mean that they have an upside down, triangle, but they're super fit, I mean, if you look at some people that run triathlons and yeah, they're fit, but they're not like they're defined. There's not much fat on them and they are in superb shape, right? So, but remember, the inside is a big thing too, right? So
exactly. No, and that's a great point. I mean, I guess a lot of times genetics plays a factor into too, that some people just can't build muscle, right? I think I struggle with that. So
It's a lot harder.
All you is for my excuse. But yeah, no, that's great that you explained it, and that's the main thing too, is talking about the stigma, and saying that you just can't stereotype people as being unfit, unhealthy, or having a mental health issue, because you just don't know. You really don't know, right? Somebody could be the healthiest eater inside, and like I said, their organs could be in tip-top shape, which would classify them as being extremely healthy. So I mean, fantastic that you guys provided me with that. So now I want to switch gears a little bit into COVID, and trying to stay healthy both physically and mentally, which may be more of a struggle as these days progress, because I mean, it seems that our our ability to do things are getting restricted on a weekly basis. So I know that can have a profound effect on both people's physical health and their mental health. So I'm going to direct it back to Karen and just say, Karen, how can you tell me if COVID impacted a lot of people's mental health, and what can you do during a stay-at-home order to help manage it, or to help recognize it at least, and seek help?
So, as you touched on, for many of us, COVID-19 has created some increased risk for either developing or experiencing worsening mental health issues. We know that rates of anxiety and depression are on the rise because of the stressors associated with the COVID and the pandemic. The stresses imposed by the pandemic include increased isolation, loneliness, job insecurity, financial insecurity, anxiety about going to work and potentially being exposed. We've seen an increase in domestic conflicts and violence, changes to routine, and experiencing overwhelming emotions associated with the COVID-19. The other thing that's really important to note is that recent research shows that people who have been infected with COVID-19 experience a 30 to 40% increase in neurocognitive and mental health disorders. So there's a direct association between actually having COVID-19 and developing mental health issues. So from my perspective, during this time of COVID, given the challenges that we're facing, it's really important to focus on self-care and the care of others. And self-care might be attending to the health of our body, getting outside as much as possible, connecting with family and friends, and perhaps finding unique ways to socialize with others. I'm just going to share a little story about one of the best events I attended since the start of the COVID was virtual or filmmaking. So a group of us got together and produced a film. We each recorded ourselves in our own home. So we met online to kind of coordinate the thing. And then we each did our own filming. And it was one of the best evenings I've had in terms of socializing with friends, one of the most fun times. So just thinking about creative ways to kind of connect and socialize with others. Another important thing is to connect with your community or faith-based organizations, or read a novel, take up a hobby, anything to kind of shake things up. And lastly, while it's important to educate yourself about COVID and the pandemic and the restrictions associated with that, it's really important to avoid or take breaks from watching, reading, or listening to the news.
Absolutely, yes. That can definitely increase some of the mental health issues people are having, such as anxiety, by watching the news. Now, you touched briefly on hobbies. So through research or historically, are there any hobbies that actually benefit the mental health that are simple hobbies to take on, that people should be working towards attaining those hobbies in order to work on their mental health?
Well, anything that maybe stimulates your interest or involves some aspect of creativity or learning a new skill. So essentially anything that kind of floats your boat. I think there's a broad spectrum of activities we can get engaged at home, anything from puzzling to building to renovating to gardening to, so
There was a lot of research. I was listening to the John Test radio show because I mean I kind of think of him as the Bible on life hacks. But what he was saying is that how when you garden, the aromas released from the soil actually are encapsulated in your brain, and you tend to have a more calm demeanor. It allows you to relax more and to be, just more one with yourself. So I found that kind of interesting because I mean we're getting to the season right now of gardening, and I know I'm a huge gardener, and I know one of my favorite things in the morning is waking up and gardening before I start work. So I could see how hobbies like this are just so important to. I mean, and they're simple things. They really are the simple things that you just have to be. I mean, be aware and be in the right moment to really appreciate that the simple things actually do help you out a lot. And another thing that I've been doing too is trying to do a daily meditation yoga for the physical and mental health, and it seems to go quite a long way. So I agree by taking on new hobbies, and these just both started with the pandemic on my end. So I agree that it definitely does help out. Now I'm going to switch over to Hector here. Now, I've been through my social medias. I've heard from a lot of people, and it seems to be a consensus that people are complaining that the gyms are closed, and now that they can't exercise, or they can't necessarily, they can exercise, but they can't keep the same fitness levels as they were before, if they were weightlifters or they were CrossFitters or whatever the case may be. Uh, so being at home, stay-at-home order, how does one maintain their fitness levels, or how does one maintain a regular exercise schedule?
Okay, well, that's a true comment, and what we have to realize is just to get fit doesn't mean you have to be in a gym only, right? The gyms are closed, yes, and it's very hard, but it's in the person itself to say, you know what, I want to keep training, I want to keep doing things and working out. And remember, one thing is 1 hour of your day is 4% of your day. So you could, people need to spend 1 hour to say, I'm going to work out. But the workouts that you can get done, they don't have to be stuff that you do in the gym. Do something you enjoy, something that you don't feel like I'm working out. Cycling, swimming. Well, now things are closed, but swimming, hiking, beautiful. Like hiking is a big thing. And when you go hiking, you see a little hill, take a sprint up, get your heart going instead of just, um, if you're a grandmother, play with your grandchildren, play tag with your grandchildren in the back. I mean, that's going to get your stuff up. Now, the ones that train a lot, usually the people that train a lot either have weights at home or they got spinning bikes. And again, it's you're the only one that's going to be able to say, I'm going to put my time and I'm going to do it. Once you get into the routine, you won't have a problem. And one of the things, I got one of these, which are these rubber bands. You can buy them for about $20. Go out for a jog. You could take these anywhere. These are not as good as weights, but trust me, you could do a lot of stuff with this stuff for arms, shoulders, legs. And like I say, they're very easy to carry. Go for a long walk. Walk fast if you have to, like if you're in half decent shape. But again, it all becomes to do something you enjoy. If you want to go with a friend and you're 10 feet apart at the moment, I see people walking and running all the time together. Again, keep your distance. And when you have somebody with you, it's going to make you work harder. That's the nature of the beast. That's the way it is, right? Everybody does, including myself. And don't make it feel like, you know what, the gym is closed, so I'm done. That's not it at all. The only one that can make the change is you. And again, this becomes part of Karen's, but it's all mental strength. And once you get into it, do the routine, it's nothing. The gym is good for the winter. In the summer, enjoy the outdoors. Like Karen said, you need that fresh air. You need to take all that nature in. That's what we need. We need sun. And I'm sure Karen will hit on that, or she did already. But so I don't want to get her because I don't know enough of that. But I just let you know, like outside, work out outside if you can. Go for your walks. Take time to relax.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess if you really want, it reminds me that you were a professional boxer. When I look back at the Rocky movies, he was never in the gym. He was always working on the farm, doing stuff, running up hills. But I mean, it just goes to show you that you can be creative. You can be creative to get some of the effects that you want. It's just the amount of effort and determination you have as an individual. And that kind of brings me to this next point, is that I want you each to comment on how important the other side is. So, example, Karen, I want you to comment on how important staying physically healthy is to being mentally healthy. And then Hector, I want you to comment on how important it is to stay mentally healthy to be physically healthy. So, Karen, I'll go first. You go first, right?
So as Hector already mentioned, physical resilience and mental resilience go hand in hand. The two are completely intertwined and interconnected. You cannot have physical health without having mental health, and vice versa. So if you are experiencing physical health issues, you're increasing your risk for mental health issues. When you experience mental health issues, you're experiencing your risk for physical health issues. So it's important that we not view these two aspects of our health as separate and distinct. They're one and of the same. Our brain controls our mind and our body. And so it's really important to consider that and to address our physical and mental health from a holistic perspective.
Perfect. And Hector, your comments?
Yeah, you know what? It's a good point, because I mean, Karen, you could touch up on this, but I know with my own experience, if I'm upset at something and I'll go cycling, because I cycle a lot, I breathe a lot heavier. I find it a lot harder to push myself, and it bugs me because I'm thinking to myself, I'm not mentally stable to be on the workout that I want. And just like you said, your brain controls everything, and I experienced that, once in a while. You just get upset at something, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go do exercise because I wanna clear my brain, but it costs me a lot more. It's a lot harder for me, and so maybe you could comment on that, Karen, if you like.
Yeah. So like Hector mentioned, the mindset when you're actually engaging in physical activity can make or break you. And that's why many top level athletes, and again, Hector, you probably can speak to this better than I can, spend a lot of time building up their mental strength. They engage in things, activities like Dan mentioned earlier, meditation and mindfulness, visualization, which is another brain activity where they actually envision themselves winning the race or performing at their best, practicing gratitude, right? Creating a state of mind where they're focusing their attention, the athletes focusing their attention on the strengths they have and building on those rather than their weaknesses, rather than their deficits, right? And so you're right. If you are in a bad state of mind, your performance is going to suffer. Conversely, though, when you are in a bad state of mind, physical exercise actually stimulates good brain chemicals like dopamine, like serotonin. So as difficult as it may be, and there's a huge release of energy, especially if you're angry, it's a great way to get it out. So as difficult or as challenging as getting out there and engaging in that physical activity may be, if your state of mind isn't good, it's still really important and it's still really helpful for your mental health.
Perfect. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Go
I
ahead.
just want to add something onto that, which is it's very good. For those that don't know professional boxing, but when a professional champion is getting ready for a fight, they go to a camp. And the reason for that is there they live boxing. There's no bills to pay. There's no issues with insurances. Like, I got to pay this, I got to pay that. It's all about, like Karen said, it's all about mental health. And it's all about, this is the focus for the next month. You don't have nothing to do with the outside. You live there, you run, you sleep, you eat, everything's there with the group of the fighting group, which you call usually is about 8-10 people, and that's all they do. And that's the reason for that. It's because you want your mental toughness to be there when the time comes to fight, right? So
yeah, that's a great insight. And I think we both kind of touched up on how important it is to be in control of both. or to at least work on both your mental and physical health, and that you shouldn't just focus on one over the other, because they are very intertwined, and they are a lot more beneficial. And you see this all the time. And I'm going to bring this back to the business world. Is generally see a lot of these top level CEOs as really taking their mental health into consideration and doing daily meditation, even going to go see psychologists. I mean, the stigma, like in mental health and social workers, like the stigma is it's perfectly fine to go see them. And you start seeing these top level business executives focusing on their mental health. And vice versa, you see them also being in decent physical shape as well. They're eating healthier diets. They are exercising more, because by having both the mental health and physical health in somewhat of a control, it allows them to be clear to focus on their business aspect. So, one thing to really focus on is to try to, like I said, gain control, or to recognize mental issues and physical issues, and try to work with them. So, now comes a time where, if for Karen and Hector, for each of you guys to just to share 5 tips that you would think are important for helping these individuals. So Karen, first, what are 5 tips you would say for helping your mental health?
Well, I think as we've all touched on before, paying attention to the fundamentals of health, sleep, where you're allowing your brain the opportunity to rest and repair, nutrition, ensuring that you're intaking nutrients that are imperative for brain function and gut health. We know that there's a huge association between our gut health and our brain health. So very important to pay attention to that. And exercise, where we're stimulating those feel-good chemicals. Next tip is take a moment every day to examine your thoughts and feelings. When we're depressed or anxious, our tendency is to focus on what's bad, or what's wrong, or what's gone bad, or what's going wrong, or worrying about what may go wrong. And when we're focused on those things, our tendency is to overlook what's good and what's right. And so when it's always important to remember that what you pay attention to, you create more of. So if you're paying attention to what's wrong, you're going to create more of what's wrong. Whereby, as if you pay attention to what's right, you're going to create more of what's right. And so that's just important to understand it, but it can be hard to make those shifts in your attentional focus, because these negative thoughts start to loop in our head. They become habitual. And so it's really important to make small shifts away from that. And one significant way to do that, or 2 significant ways to do that, are to practice gratitude and caring. Take a moment to consider what is good and what is right about yourself, about others, about the world. Focus on creation, any act of caring, whether it's about you, or whether, again, it's about others, the environment, a business, creating art, a garden, or any act of caring. And lastly, I would recommend that you ask yourself the following questions, especially when you're feeling distressed about your situation. Is what is the opportunity in this? What can I learn from this? Or how can I grow from this? And how can I view this situation in a way that helps me rather than harms me, that alleviates my distress rather than creates stress? And one thing that I always do when I'm really feeling distressed is I remind myself, I put my hand over my heart and I remind myself, I got this.
Yeah, it's very true. And I like the point where you touched about that when you're in a negative state of mind, you start to focus on the negative around you. And a classic example of that is when you're running late, and all of a sudden you spill something, or you get caught at more red lights, and you start recognizing, oh my God, everything has happened because I'm late. Is it that, or are you seeking out those negative things in your environment to associate with the negativity of you being late? So very great point, Karen. Hector, I'm going to jump over to you. What are 5 tips for helping your physical health?
Okay, so we already spoke about regular exercise. So try to exercise 3 times a week if you can, if it's possible. Healthy nutrition or healthy eating. Again, try to stay away from carbs like pastas and breads. I mean, a little bit is not bad, but not too much, because the carbs eventually go into your body and they'll turn into fat eventually, right? So try to eat fish at least once a week. Drink more water than sugary drinks. That's important. 6 to 8 glasses of water, and that's hard to do. But if you take little sips throughout the day, you could get through it. Grabbing a whole glass of water and just drinking it, that's hard to do. But just take a little bit at a time, and you'll be surprised at the end how much you get. A good night's sleep. We talked about that. For sure, you need that. Take time to relax, like Karen said before. Grab a book, go read go read outside while you listen to the birds or the wind or whatever. Take it all inside. Give your brain a rest. Our society right now is everything with cell phones and that. And I go to the beach a lot, and I am surprised how many people are on the beach relaxing with their cell phones beside, talking to somebody about nothing. It's like, put the phone down once in a while and just take it all in. Let your brain, rebuild again. Let it rest. And remember, all this works under the good work and life balance, right? You got to balance, right? That's very important. But it can be done. It's up to you to do it, and you can do it. I guarantee you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it, like Karen said, and you can do it. So.
Perfect. That's very, very good point. So, we're running to the end here, and I really want to thank both of you guys for donating your time and your expertise and information here. Now, obviously, you guys have done this on a voluntary basis, so now I want to let each of you guys plug away your businesses. How can people contact you? What does your personal business do? And then if you leave some information, like I said, just an email, or if you have any Facebook, anything, so people can check you out later. So Karen, we'll let you plug away your business first. So go ahead.
So as mentioned earlier, my business is Mental Health Solutions. I'm online at mymentalhealthsolutions.ca. You can reach me at 289-969-3999. or my email, karen@mymentalhealthsolutions.ca. And essentially what I do is I provide education and workshops for both individuals and organizations. I currently have an online course called Mental Health Boot Camp. My website's being redesigned as we speak so that there are actual links to the boot camp. It just went online about a month ago. Doing quite well. Yeah, it's awesome. Love it. And it's been quite a shift for me from in person to online, but challenging and rewarding, thus the same. And the other part of my business is supporting other businesses or other organizations to develop their psychological health and safety plans. So these are plans that address the mental health and well-being of their employees, volunteers, etc.
Awesome. Yes, and I can attest. I know a lot of organizations, individuals who have worked with Karen before, and they found great results. So she's an amazing woman to work with. So like I said, if you are ever looking into or feeling down, please reach out to her. Now, Hector, I guess your chance to plug away your business here.
Yeah. So basically, I run a gym at the Spark building in the lower level. And my gym is boxing for fitness only. We don't spar, but we really work out hard with a lot of aerobic, anaerobic, punching bags, a whole bunch of stuff. So I could be reached at hbtrainer@hotmail.com, or my phone number is 905-328-9323. If you ever want to try one of the box size classes that we got for ladies and men, you're welcome to try one for free. Just give me a text or call. And if you go to Facebook under Premier Sports and Fitness, you will see a lot of the videos and pictures of the gym and all that, and the people working out with, and all these things that are there were put there with permission from the people. So I don't put nothing without the consent of them. So yeah, just go there and you'll see what I do, and I love doing it. I do personal training. I really enjoy it. And yeah, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, you got questions, or you want to try out a class, or you want to try out one session with personal training to see what it's all about, please give me a touch.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. So it's and boxing, I can attest to that too. Boxing definitely helps with both the physical and mental health as well. What a great exercise to really take out a lot of frustration and to I guess be physically fit while you're doing it. So I really want to thank you guys again. It was amazing. You'll be able to find us on YouTube at Spark Niagara on our YouTube channels. We're posting this on our Facebook. Follow us at Spark Niagara, our website, www.sparkniagara.com. And in 2 weeks, we're going to have a follow-up to this on the second round of our Healthy Body, which we're going to have the healthy diet as well as a healthy lifestyle. So be sure to check us out in 2 weeks when we continue these Health Talk series. Again, my name is Dan Bordenave. We're joined by two amazing guests, Karen and Hector, and we want to thank everybody for joining, and we'll be in touch.